up, a cinema Shogun here, and we all were groomed by Jared Leisek. We all were groomed by Jared Leisek, or Leisek, or however you say that creepo's name. We were all groomed by Jared from Adventures with Purpose. All of us. Now, I know what you're thinking. Some people are like, Cinema Shogun, that's a bold statement to make. What does that even mean? And other people are recoiling like, ew, no, I wasn't groomed by Jared. Well, here's what I mean, folks. I know when it comes to grooming, we usually think about someone who is sexually grooming a younger person, correct? But what I mean is Jared groomed us, groomed his audience. And when I say us and when I say we, I don't necessarily mean everybody. And I don't necessarily put myself in this group of people who have been groomed by Jared, although I have been somewhat affected with it all as well. But what I mean is we were all groomed into thinking that Jared was this nice person, that Jared was this hero that did awesome things. But not just that, we were groomed into almost feeling like we couldn't criticize Jared or Adventures with Purpose at all because of the great things they were doing for people. And I'm not going to take that away. Because at the end of the day, yes, you could say they gave some families closure. They found some missing people and some missing vehicles, and that is a good thing. Although a lot of people were affected negatively by AWP along the way. But you see, Jared has been grooming his YouTube audience for a while now. What do you think AWP really is? What do you think Adventures with Purpose really is? Are you still naive? Do you still believe that Adventures with Purpose was this group put together to do good? Or do you see things how I see it? Because the way I see it, Adventures with Purpose was nothing but a shield that Jared created for himself to deflect himself or deflect future criticism of him, or to make it harder for people to see what type of monster he is. With every single vehicle Jared pulled out of that water on Adventures with Purpose, he was adding layers upon layers upon layers of so-called good deeds that you would have to dig through to see the real Jared. And Jared groomed people into believing that he was this good person that did extremely good things, so you would always think twice before you ever looked at him sideways. He groomed this audience for years. So when his past would eventually catch up with him, he wouldn't receive as much backlash, and people would find it harder to believe. All of the allegations would be harder to believe because Jared had done all of these amazing things, right? You see, if Jared was a normal person, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I wouldn't have had to sit here for 72 hours making 12 videos to convince you all that Jared has been indicted on these charges, even though the paperwork is out there. Yet it was still so hard for people to believe because they were groomed by Jared, emotionally groomed by Jared. Jared went out here and did these somewhat sometimes amazing things. But I don't think he ever did it in the name of righteousness. I think he did it to groom society in a way, or whoever paid attention to him, to go ahead and almost set up defenses. So when his past finally caught up with him, it would be harder for it to really catch up with him. All of this information is out there, and what do you think is happening? A lot of Jared's supporters are in the comment sections. They're sending him well wishes, they're praying for him, and they are still sending donations. And at this time, or the last time I checked a couple of hours ago, AWP's donations were still open. Jared is still receiving donations that will go directly to his legal fees. You see, Jared was thinking 4 steps ahead of everyone else. And Jared made sure that he made this almost public legacy of good deeds that you would have to see when you ever looked into Jared, when you ever thought about Jared. You would have to see these, what appeared to be awesome good deeds. And you wouldn't see the skeletons in the closet. You wouldn't see the layers underneath this public persona that he put out there. And when I say that we were all groomed by Jared, I mean that almost like literally, because people still to this point won't accept what is going on here. And they will defend him to the end of the earth. Largely because of the idea that Jared put in their mind of who he was. But it's a person that he has never been. And when I say that I am somewhat affected, I mean that because I never watched AWP before the Kylie Rodney case. But when I heard they were going out there to search for Kylie Rodney, people were sending me messages telling me, oh, these are such great people, great people. And I never really watched much. I saw 1 or 2 videos and I felt like I was watching like Real Housewives of Atlanta, or one of my favorite shows, 90 Day Fiance. It felt like something that was just way too reality showish. But I even thought for a second, like, maybe these are good people. And when I reached out to them, I had to realize that wasn't the case. When I saw how they handled the Kylie Rodney situation, I had to realize that, okay, these are not the type of people who I thought they were. But even for a split moment, they had me. Because regardless of how dramatized their videos were, I saw the good they have done, and I felt like somehow, some way, these got to be some stand-up dudes. These dudes must operate with certain ethics and morals, but it turns out they didn't have much. And I'm not just talking about Jared, but I am not talking about everybody at AWP, but I am talking about some of the people in the forefront. And while we're talking about how Jared groomed all of us emotionally into feeling as if we couldn't criticize him because of the good he's done, to feeling like he was this good person, almost like a holier than thou person. You can't say anything about Jared because you've never saved or you've never dived underwater and found a car, so you can't criticize Jared. And all the while, all of it was really just to cover up what a shitty human being he was. So I don't think anyone, or at least me, I could never look at Adventures with Purpose like it was this group put together for doing good things, regardless of how many good things they do, because reality, Adventures with Purpose was a shield. It was like a suit of Iron Man armor. And Jared is a cousin fucking Tony Stark. And he uses AWP as this armor to deflect, like, criticism. So it just bounces right off of him. Because guess what? AWP, look, we jump into rivers and we find cars, so you can't say anything about me. And when allegations come forward, they're going to be harder to believe because of look at what I've done. And look at this fan base of millions of people who I have, formed, that will even go after people who bring forward these allegations and try to silence them. It's like Jared, here's a good point. A lot of people are saying, hey, everyone needs to chill out. We don't need the court of public opinion here when it comes to this situation with Jared, right? Let the actual courts handle this situation, not the court of public opinion. And I kind of maybe would possibly entertain respecting that if Jared wasn't already working on this court of public opinion. You see, the court of public opinion, the battle over the court of public opinion, Jared has already been using it for years. What do you think AWP is? Why do you think he felt this need to form this group? Why do you think he felt the need to drum up supporters on social media? Jared is a con man. Jared is a con man at heart. Once a con man, always a con man. Jared has been playing the long game. And other people can be fooled. I'm not going to be fooled here. The court of public opinion started a long time ago when Jared formed AWP and went out of his way to try to become prominent on social media. He was already playing the game of public opinion before we even knew the game existed. Okay? So I don't see anything wrong with people talking about this situation. The court of public opinion should be at play here because Jared introduced it years ago before we knew that he actually did. Because everything good that Jared has done has been nothing but a shield to cover up the real Jared. If Jared cared about families, Jared would have worried about his own family before taking care of other families. And while we're talking about grooming, I couldn't help but feel those same vibes earlier when Doug released that video. Like, Josh, the cameraman, resigned from AWP today. And his video, it felt genuine. And I felt that it was more so from the heart than Doug. While I'm on the topic of talking about how Jared groomed us, I can't help but feel like Doug was doing the same thing in his video. Nowhere did he acknowledge the victims or the situation. It was more so playing into the emotions of people so you don't leave, so you continue to support. Josh resigned from AWP right there on the spot on a live stream. You didn't see Doug do the same thing because Doug is trying to play this out to where Doug can own AWP and Doug would be AWP. And I can't help but feel like Doug's words when he was talking, I heard Jared. When Doug was talking on that video earlier, I heard Jared coming out of his mouth. I didn't hear genuineness. I heard Jared. I heard a groomer who was placating to their audience that they have already groomed, trying to play on their emotions, trying to make sure that they don't run away, that they continue to come back and be victimized. That's what I felt when I saw Doug's video. And that's just my honest opinion. And there's not a single human being on this earth that's going to convince me that that video was genuine. But I am open to the possibility that no one knew. But I do think signs point towards the fact that that is not the case. But even so, those words that they came across, go back and watch it again if you need to. It came across like we were once again being groomed by Adventures with Purpose. Hey, but think about all the good things me and the guys did. Think about the good stuff. What about these guys? You know what I'm saying? It was more so about what was happening to his pockets and about making sure that everyone doesn't leave, that people still support him. And he didn't call out Jared, didn't denounce Jared's actions like that. And I understand that there's contracts there, but at the same time, he could have said more. But I will say this before I end this video. We're talking about how Jared groomed all of us, right? Well, who do you think was the main person Jared groomed? I'm going to give you a second to let us know down in the comments below. I'm not talking about necessarily the family members. I'm sure Jared has groomed a lot of people, all right? But let's keep the family members out of this for a second. Who do you think the main person is? It's Doug. Doug was the one that Jared has been grooming to be in the forefront of AWP. Jared has been grooming Doug into being the person that would take over AWP if this day ever came and Jared would have to go into the background. That's why you're going to see Doug have a harder time denouncing this situation. That's why you saw other people straight up resign. You didn't see Doug resign yet. Hopefully he will soon if he knows what's good for him. And I know you're probably watching this, Doug. And I think you've been groomed as well. And when I Google Jared Leisek, when I Google him and I look for pictures to use in my videos or in my thumbnails, it's hard finding a picture of Jared without Doug. 90% of the pictures online that exist of Jared have Doug in them. So I have a hard time accepting and believing some of this stuff that Doug was saying. But I am open to the possibility that it was true. But his words came across and rubbed me the wrong way completely. And like I just said, I think he was the main person who's been groomed through all of this. He may be one of the main people that one of the people who it's hardest to, like, it's going to be harder for Doug to accept this, I think, than a lot of people. Because Doug is really tied into Jared more so than anyone else that I can see. But I think he's been groomed throughout this situation as well. But we're going to see how this plays out. I'm interested in hearing how you all feel about this thought process. What do you all feel about this? Have you all been groomed by Jared? Let me know down in the comments below. But while you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.